Well, it may feel like winter outside, but winter hasn't officially begun. To look ahead towards the upcoming winter season, I'm pleased to welcome back to the show Paul Knight. Paul, welcome back to Weather World. And let's talk a little bit about last year before we look ahead. Last year, we had some ups and downs all winter.
We did, Rob, and in fact, I always think that the safest way to begin a long-range forecast is to take a look at what we said in the past, because then we can't be wrong. And I think this is a good way to start to remind our viewers what we said at this time last year when we got together, and specifically this was the outlook for winter December through February of this past year. We said frequent periods of above normal temperatures. That worked out pretty well. Record warmth and possible record rainstorm, and that one actually didn't work out so well. The coldest episode in January with below zero temperatures
right,
worked
the end
out.
Of January.
Yeah, and then the East Coast snowstorms, that one did not work out. So 2 out of 3 or 2 out of 4 isn't too bad when it comes to seasonal forecasting like that. And one thing we do want to point out is the fact that that there are some trends that we can be looking for. And this is a look at Pennsylvania temperature departures for the past 30 years. December being in the first column, and you can see there right here. So these are all the past 30 Decembers, including December of last year. We don't know December 2019, so this is really 2018. And here's January, and here's February. And one thing to note of interest is that it's been since 2001 that we've had a really cold December. However, look at how many dark blues, which indicate well below normal temperatures in January. There have been 7 episodes of that. And in February, it's hard to get very cold again, too. So when we look at these charts, we get the sense that, generally speaking, the winters are warmer. But if it's going to be cold, it generally ends up being colder during the month of January.
Yeah, very, very true. And, when we look ahead to the upcoming winter season, a lot of times we talk about the influence of El Nino or La Nina. Mm-hmm. Is that going to be the case this year?
Absolutely. In fact, that's one of the things we can be pretty sure about is the fact that the oceans are really the arbiter when it comes to the winter temperatures. And these are the anomalies from about 2 weeks or so ago. You'll notice right away that there are the warmth is in the west central Pacific and it's cooling off in the east central Pacific, but when you average it out, it's still considered a weak El Nino. North Pacific is very warm. The brightness of the reds indicate the temperatures well above normal. And of course the Atlantic, which is just sitting off our own coast, has been quite warm too. However, when we put these together and say, what about the ones that are upstream of us, which is to the west of us, this is the analogs from previous occurrences when there's been a weak El Nino and a warm North Pacific, and the December, January, February temperatures are below average with some frequency, 50%, 60% chance in the east, above average in the west, and precipitation shows that it ends up being relatively moist in the mid-Atlantic area and also down in the south. So, for folks who are really excited about a cold, snowy winter, apparently the odds are in our favor in this case.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and a lot of outlooks are issued not just here on Weather World, but NOAA and some other companies issue their outlook sometimes months in advance.
Yes, and in fact, we'll take a look at some of those folks too, because they are spending all their free time looking at the seasonal forecast. The National Weather Service, this Climate Prediction Center specifically, temperature forecast for the upcoming winter, December, January, and February indicates, it doesn't say below normal temperatures, but if there's going to be a place that will be suspect, and if you're ever in Iowa or Minnesota in December, January, February, if it's normal, that's pretty darn cold anyway. But there's still indications of warmth in the west and warmth in parts of the northeast. This is an interesting one with precipitation. The indications are that there's going to be some storm track that will come pretty much from the high plains to the mid-Atlantic coast, and that leaves Pennsylvania in one of the vulnerable areas for above average precipitation during that 3-month period. Of course, that indicates that could be some snow involved with that as well. We would be remiss if we didn't look at our friend, the Old Farmer's Almanac, which is very challenging to be able to digest in one look. But you'll see that there are some predictions for it to be wet and wild in the northeast and wintry in parts of the Appalachians with a parade of snowstorms. So it is catching the message that there could be above average precipitation from the northern plains into the Ohio Valley and perhaps even to the mid-Atlantic coast. And indeed, there's some indications here from our friends at Weatherbell, which is another reputable company. Look when they made their forecast for snowfall for this upcoming winter. It was made on the 29th of August.
Wow. And
the predictions are for a large area from the Midwest into the northern Tennessee Valley and all the way to the mid-Atlantic coast for 125% of normal snowfall, 150% just west of Pennsylvania. So that leads us to our grand finale here, the drum roll, please.
Drum roll.
And this is my best read, and really it's just a read at this point, is that I see that we'll do this alternating roller coaster winter with it being very mild and moist in December in the total, but I think the first week may still be cold, a residual of some of the chill we're experiencing now. And then it gets quite cold with, I think, a few significant snowstorms in January. So I think if there's going to be a wintry month, we'll feel it in January. I think it turns mild again during February, but mild in February can also lead us to that many episodes of unpleasant iciness, including icy rain. So.
Yeah, the big headline there was a roller coaster ride, this winter season. I know the snow and the cold is one thing, but I was talking to Marissa Ferger, not looking forward to icy messes coming in February.
Nor am I, but hey, it's winter, it's Pennsylvania, it's the best we have.
Yeah, get ready for it. All right, well, thanks so much for
Sure.
stopping in. As
My
always,
pleasure.
Paul, we always appreciate your outlooks. And we'll be back in just a moment with a recap of your short-range forecast.